Hi, I'm Jeff Foxworthy, and welcome to GameKeeper Podcast. If you want to learn more about farming for wildlife and habitat management, then, buddy, you are in the right place. Join the Gamekeeper crew direct from Mossy Land Enhancement Studio as they discuss the latest wildlife and habitat management practices, news, and, of course, hunting. There's no telling what you'll learn, but I'm going to tell you, I bet it's interesting. Enjoy.
All right. Woo. Welcome, everybody, to the Gamekeeper Studios here in the Mossy Oak Land Enhancement Building, and it's kind of swelteringly hot.
The AC's out.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank goodness it's October.
Yeah, but it's hot up in here.
And the light buzz is so loud that we can't turn the fan on.
Yes.
We might upgrade the studio one day.
One day we can dream about it, and we've got this Casio recorder. Is that how you say it? Casio, old recorder. It's about 25 years old, and some mics. One day we'll get a studio.
Casio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, look, everybody, welcome to the show. Today we've got an interesting show, and on my right is Lanny Wallace.
Hello.
And Dudley Phelps over here on the left, who's not clean shaven today.
I'm west of you.
Yeah.
He's slightly bearded.
Yeah, we got producer Cleveland over there, and then wandering around somewhere is Richie with a camera trying to film a little bit. So,
Great.
But here we are. It's another day. The podcast that we recently did with the mountain lion, talking about long-tailed cat, it generated a lot of interest. We've got a lot of Facebook posts, and I got text at all hours of the night, people sending me pictures, or I saw this, I saw that.
And we're starting to put some stories together. Like I've got a buddy I mentioned that had the photo of the footprint, and it happened to be right near where Rob Moore was hunting, close to the same time. There's more things that are going on.
This is like a cold case file.
Yeah. It's great. It really is. And
we're not getting any work done, though.
But it's good seeing. I appreciate everybody sending in their stories and everything else, because it is interesting.
It really is. So I want to circle back to that, because today's show is we're going to continue the long-tailed cat theme. But let's talk about what's going on around here right now. And boy, the food plots, we're getting a lot of people calling in, sending pictures. The food plots are popping. A lot of good rain events and a lot of good warm days, and food plots are a big thing right now. What about trees? People interested in trees? I hear the phones ringing a lot.
Phones are ringing a lot. It's cooling off up north, and people are planting.
Yeah, I mean, fall, I think, will be my favorite time to plant. I don't know about you, Dudley, trees specifically. And I've learned this from Dudley. So I don't know. What's the reasoning behind planting in the fall?
Well, they have more time to root in before the drought happens the next summer.
Right.
So spring, it's oftentimes a little bit more moisture, but there's less time between spring and the summer drought.
Yeah. So in theory, the roots more or less get settled in the fall.
Yep.
And then I guess it's got to establish roots first before it can grow up.
Right. So they're going to be more off to the races in the spring if you fall plant.
It's kind of the same scenario with planting clover in the fall, too.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah, it sure is. So.
They both work great. They're time-tested ways of doing it. But
what was it you used to say?
Clover sleeps and then it leaps.
So planted in the fall. Sleeps, then it leaps.
In the south.
In the south.
So, and one thing I want to encourage everybody, put those utilization cages out. We had a guy emailed a picture in the other day and said, my crop only grew, he had planted some maximum, only grew in the cage. And so he sent this photo, and it looks like bare dirt. If a guy had planted that and came back a month later and saw that, they would be certain that the plot had failed.
Yeah.
But that cage showed him that the maximum should have been 3 inches tall.
Yeah, utilization cages, I think that's what we call them, but just fencing off a little bitty area in your food plot so you can really see what you're doing. I mean, because a successful food plot is not there because the deer are eating it all, but it is really cool to see, how much forage you're really feeding your wildlife with those utilization cages.
Yeah, it is. So as far as a little blood on the biologic, there's been quite a few.
Did you see that deer Mark Drury killed?
How many times can you say that a deer is 2 feet wide?
I don't know. They're all running together. There's so many people killing big deer.
He is so good at what he does, though.
So, look, today's episode is going to be brought to you by Russel Boots. We're all big
Moccasins.
fans of Russel, the Russel Moccasin Company, and Joe Gagno and the boots that they make. They've got some Gamekeeper editions. And
they've been friends of the brand for a long time, starting with our good buddy Bob Dixon.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. And so if you get a chance, go check them out. They are the finest turkey hunting boots you can
put on them swamp feet.
They are really good.
Yeah, not just turkey hunting. They're the finest boots. I mean, for any application.
Yeah, I would agree. Then they're like a bunch of little elves up there and cobble them together.
Cobble.
They build the boots right there in this little shop.
Look that word up.
Their Facebook page and Instagram, I like looking at their photos and of all the wooden molds and, watching them make everything. And stuff like that's not made like that anymore.
They're custom.
And they
Obviously, they're custom. They measure your foot and build it to spec.
Yep.
And they will last forever.
They're good boots. So, circling back around today, we've got a guest named Jason Cook, who is an outfitter. He owns this business called Land of Giants out in Kansas, and I think he actually outfits in Alaska a little bit. We can ask him about that, but he's full-time in the hunting business. And he was in Florida last year and was attacked by a big cat. And he's got, we'll put up a picture of his face. And what endeared me to him, I didn't know him, but bless his heart, he's wearing bottomland, and even he had a gamekeeper hat on when this happened. So immediately I was kind of interested in the story.
Yeah.
And so last year we posted it on Instagram, and really I hadn't kept up with it since then. But once we started all this other about long-tailed cats, I thought, well, let's talk to Jason and find out his story, what happened. Because in Florida, there are the long-tailed cats. There are Florida Panthers. I think they're endangered, and there's not, but I think I've heard about 200 of them left. So they're highly endangered and preserved, and people have full-time jobs down there trying to take care of those things. So there's no question that there are Florida Panthers, and he's got a story to tell. But before we get him on the phone, I want to circle back. And after I listened to our podcast last week, I realized that you were kind of describing that the cat you saw may have been black. And I didn't pick up on that during
I don't want to ruin your Black Panther party, Bob. However, and I know what I said. I need to go back and listen to it myself. But I don't think I ever said what I thought it was. And I never said I thought it was a Black Panther. What I saw was dark. It was not black. I describe it as almost brindle. It had something else going on, but it wasn't the color of a mountain lion. I personally believe it was, and I'm going to say this wrong, a Jaggerundi is what I believe it is, which is a cat. And we touched on this a little bit from Central America. I've, since people have, I've got some buddies that have reached out and we've talked about it a little bit. And so I do need to clarify. I don't think what I saw was a Black Panther.
Oh, okay.
What I believe I saw was definitely a long-tailed cat, but it was not a mountain lion. It was not I've seen pictures. Let me look at Florida cougar, or Florida Panther. Florida Panther.
Yeah.
No,
So,
it doesn't. I'm going to look at one right quick.
Yeah, after talking to some biologists and, just our friend network,
this thing.
We've been told that Jaggerundis have been documented in the Tensas, Mobile, Delta area.
Let me show you this.
In recent times.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Jaggerundi.
Yeah.
Panther.
Well, you can make me put my glasses on here.
A very distinct difference in the two.
Well, those cats are pretty.
You mean zoom in?
Well, I got my glasses on now. So, okay. So that's
hold on. Look at this. Here's the Florida Panther. That is not what I saw.
Okay. Now go back to the Jaggerundi.
This is the Jaggerundi. This is what I believe I saw. And it's like this. What I was talking about, he was dark but brindle.
Yeah.
So it looks like a bobcat with a long tail.
Kind of, sort of. And it's darker.
Do you think, just just me and you and Dudley sitting
Yeah, we just fellers.
Do you think it could have been a big male otter?
No.
It was a cat.
It was a cat. It was a cat. I've seen otters. It was not an otter. I do not believe it was an otter.
You've seen enough cats. I'm not even considering
I've seen enough
that.
otters, yeah. And I can see, I know I've talked to, one of our good biologist buddies, and you talk to your biologist buddies, and they're saying a lot of these mistaken identities for black panther sightings is a giant otter, and I mean, I can see where they're coming from.
I really can't. I think a cat, it looks like a cat. It bounds.
Yeah.
It's really sleek looking. I know an otter's really low to the ground.
Really low to the ground.
But
they don't move the same.
Yeah. It's just the way you can identify a dove flying through the air
in a flock of birds
compared to a woodpecker.
Right, exactly.
It's the way it moves. It's completely different.
Well said. That's a great comparison on the doves. When the Tweety birds are flying, but you know which one's the dove is.
Right.
Just the motion and the way that they move.
Right?
Yeah, and I think, but it was, this thing I saw was very dark. And, and I know Dudley brought it up last time. The distinct difference in mine and Rob's stories are that, his was very mountain lionish. Mine was not. It was just a different critter is the best way to put it. But I've been infatuated with him since then. That's for sure.
Well, that's interesting. So
I'm going to see if I can confirm. Didn't you say something about your buddy said that there was a Jaggerundi sighting in Mobile Bay?
Yeah, my buddy Brad, he's an archaeologist, but there's Jaggerundis have been documented in the Mobile Tensaw Delta, which is South Alabama.
So they
drains
would be
into Mobile Bay.
They would be coming up through Texas along the coast.
Yeah, he also said, and I looked it up. Roosevelt was hunting jaguars in Texas at the turn of the century. Mm-hmm. There were jaguars. Yeah, that's not very long ago.
Yeah, there's jaguars in Mexico.
Yeah. Yeah. Their range extended into Texas at one time.
How about that?
Very recently.
Here's geographic distribution of the leopardus.
Well, this is really...
I'm going to go down a wormhole over here. You're going to have to reel me back in.
All right, we're just going to give you a few seconds because...
there was a breeding pair of panthers in 1970 in the Mobile Delta. Documented.
By who?
Somebody.
People that document stuff.
The documentors.
It's like those YouTube people you always talk about. They're everywhere.
Yeah, the YouTube cameras are everywhere. All right. Well, so why don't we, while Laney goes down this hole and before we put everybody to sleep, why don't we take a break, pay some bills, and Jason, let's see if we can get Jason Cook on the telephone, and we'll start off with his encounter, and then we'll close out today's episode with a little bit of Dudley and his Ask Dudley question. So
good. I'm pumped. I'm ready to hear what Jason's got to say.
Yeah, I am too. We've been talking about it for weeks.
Yeah.
The Gamekeeper magazine is our life outdoors on paper.
We love Gamekeepers magazine.
It's full of great information.
Full of ideas on how to make the habitat better.
From plots to trees to whitetails and waterfowl.
It's total farm management.
There's so much information in Gamekeepers,
especially when it comes to managing your property.
You can't go wrong if you want to improve your habitat for wildlife.
Pick up our Gamekeepers magazine.
Gamekeepers,
the journal of wildlife stewardship.
Hello.
Jason Cook.
Bobby, how's it going, man?
I'm doing well. I got Lanny Wallace here.
Hey, Jason.
Hey, man.
And Dudley Phelps on my other side, and we're excited to hear your story.
Cool. I mean, I'm excited to tell about it and talk about it and go through all the details and everything. It's it'll be the first time I've really even talked to anybody about it.
Well, Jason, just for everybody listening, I don't really know Jason, and we have some mutual friends. But when I saw when I heard about what happened and I saw the picture and you were wearing Bottomland.
And a gamekeeper hat.
Yeah.
I felt like I knew him. Hey, is that one of our boys down there?
I mean, that was pretty exciting.
And he was turkey hunting too.
So if anybody that wears Bottomland, we know we would like you right off.
Yeah, part of the brotherhood. That's right.
Man, I've been in Bottomland for as long as I can remember. It's just what I've always worn. I mean, you can't really beat it.
No, Bobby says it best. What'd you say? You feel like the old water moccasin curled up at the bottom of an oak tree.
Yeah, especially if you get just a little mud on it.
Oh boy, I'm telling you, get a little dirty and it really gets real.
That's good stuff. So, Jason, tell us a little, before you tell your story, a little bit about you. I was telling everybody that you've got this Land of Giants outfitter, and you pretty much hunt all the time, all over the world, I guess, or country at least. So tell us just a little bit about you.
Yeah, no, man, absolutely. So I started working for Georgia Power, I guess when I would have been about 23 or so. And, I grew up hunting my whole life. I grew up on a phenomenal piece of property in South Fulton County down in Georgia. And, man, just always thought I'd have the best piece of, for a lifetime to hunt on. And one thing led to another. And, the land kind of ended up getting leased out. And I said, man, I got to find somewhere to actually go. So I got on my phone and I started Googling turkey hunting outfitters in Kentucky. Because at the time, I never hunted Kentucky before and I always wanted to go. So I Googled an outfitter. I can't even remember the name of it right off the top of my head. And because most of them, they just said no. And this guy, as soon as I called him and told him, I said, hey, my name's Jason Cook. Wanted to talk to you about doing a little guiding for you. And he said, man, how you been doing? And I said, well, I'm doing pretty good. He said, yeah, I needed you up here last week. And I said, well, if I'd have known last week, absolutely. But I didn't know anything about it. And he said, oh man, quit playing. You've got it for me for years and this and that, and just kept going back and forth. And I said, sir, I don't think we know each other. He said, no. He said, I need you here in the morning. I said, well, if I can find a way to get away, I said, absolutely. So right after that, I jumped in my truck and I just drove to Kentucky to the address that he gave me. And I got up there probably, I guess it was about 2:00 in the morning, and I knocked on the door and the guy said, can I help you? And I said, yes, my name's Jason Cook. And he said, oh my God, man, I've completely got you mixed up with somebody else. And I said, that's what I was trying to tell you, that we didn't know each other. He said, well, you're already here. We'll see how you do. And the next morning it was just pouring down rain, and I had two old doctors, and they were standing there staring at me like, you ready to go? And I was thinking, crap, what have I gotten myself into? Well, ended up taking them hunting, had a great time. Both of them killed birds, and they went back and they bragged to the owner of the outfitter, how well the hunt went and everything, and everybody was happy. So he asked me to come back the next week. So I started going up there for him pretty regular, and I was just doing it just to have another place to hunt and to take people hunting, I guess to say. So found a piece of property that come open for lease in Kansas, and I've never hunted Kansas before at the time, and it was pretty much going to be for deer hunting. But it was about the time turkey season kind of hit off, and me and a guy, we jumped in the truck and drove all the way up there to it. We were standing there right at daylight, and we said, what are we going to do if we just drove all this way and we don't even hear a bird gobble? And, well, what else can we do? Man, it was right after that, I bet it was 15 or 20 birds down the river bottom just started hammering, and it was the most incredible thing I've ever heard in my life. Because I love turkey hunting, and man, I got to eat up with it so bad. Well, the people who I've got it over the years in Kentucky, they all automatically assumed that I was an outfitter in Kansas, and I kept telling them, I said, man, I'm not an outfitter. I've just got one 400-acre piece of property. That's all I've got. And they said, oh no, you're kidding. Well, people started sending me money to come up and go on a hunt. So I'm trying to scramble and trying to figure out how to make it all work out, on trying to organize dates and everything. And and it ended up working out pretty well for me. I was just charging $1,000 a week and put them in a $29 hotel. And next thing I knew, it just turned into a pretty incredible business. I ended up moving my family up here and took a job with a power company up here so I could kind of have that comfort zone of being an outfitter, but still having a full-time job to kind of lean back on it. Well, one thing after another, the job deal kind of fell through, and my daughter Abigail, she was, I guess she's probably about 4 at the time. She said, "Daddy, what are we going to do?" I said, "We're going to be the best outfitter Kansas has ever seen." And from that point on, I made up my mind. I said, "Well, this is what I've always wanted to do. It's kind of a now or never type deal," and I just hit it full on.
So what all do you guide for? Is it waterfowl as well?
Yep, up here in Kansas, I do. Whitetail is, the bread and butter, I guess to say. We do a lot of waterfowl, and I do a few turkey hunts. I don't do as much as some outfitters do because, man, I'm always going during turkey season, and I never consider, doing the waterfowl and the deer hunting as a job. But at the same time, that's how I make a living. And I never wanted to turn my turkey hunting into that as well, because that is my time. It might sound crazy to some people, but I'd kill 2 or 3 birds over 180-inch whitetail any day of the week. And I never want to lose that fire or ever even try to make something, turn it to where turkey hunting feels like a job to me.
Mm. Well, we can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Speaking of turkeys, where was this place in Kansas? You said it was 15 or 20 turkey copping.
Yeah, you got our attention on that one for sure. Wow.
It's just something about it. You can't really.
No.
Man, and people ask me all the time, "What's your favorite thing to do?" And I tell them turkey hunting and sheep hunting. It's one of them deals. And they say, "Oh man, you like turkey hunting more than a deer," and it's one of them deals. Either you love it or you don't care anything in the world about it.
So, Jason, if you would you kind of walk us through, tell us the story of your Florida hunt, what part of Florida, all the details that you can, and just kind of walk us through, because when you and I talked a few weeks ago, I came in and kind of shared it with the guys, and it was a fascinating story to all of us. And let me start off by saying that, this thing kind of created a storm, and maybe even caused you some grief on social media, and we want to make sure that you get a chance to kind of tell your side of that story, so to speak, so we can, clear up any miscommunications.
No, absolutely, man. So with me, sheep season starts around, the first of August. So usually I'm in Alaska, and by mid-August we're just fighting the snow, and then deer season here starts 1st of September. Or the second week of September, and then we're full on from there till the end of January. And during that whole time frame, it's usually fighting snow, fighting cold, fighting the wind. It's just working as hard as you possibly can, day in and day night, tracking deer. I mean, you don't ever get any sleep. So when waterfowl season's over, it is, I kind of call it my hibernating mode, and just want to lay down and relax. But I can't ever wait to get to Florida, because in March here, I mean, it can still be pretty brutal cold. So I always try to run down to Florida the first second that I get. My oldest daughter Abigail, she was born on March 3rd, and I always leave after her birthday to drive down. Can't wait to get down there for the warm weather. It's turkey season, you're getting the first crack at them. My best friend Gatlin, he and I, we travel the country together turkey hunting. Well, we go down, and I've got several good friends who live down there who I've whether traded out deer hunts for a turkey hunt before in the past or whatever it might be. And I've got a really good friend of mine down there who's got an incredible piece of property that we get to hunt. So we've been on it for, it was probably 2 or 3 days, I guess you'd say. And it was just kind of different. It wasn't like it usually is over the year's time of, you hear birds gobbling, you can kill them fairly easy and quick. Well, I was going to say day 2 or 3, I don't even think we've heard a bird Seeing so the birds don't respond, and they don't gobble like they do when a cat's in the area. I said, man, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard of. I ain't buying that. And I was just joking with him. I said, I think y'all come here and wipe them out last year. He said, man, I'm telling you, that's the truth. I said, yeah, I still don't buy it. Well, and I didn't know. I said, maybe it's the pressure's off. Maybe they're not quite right yet. But I knew in the north side on the way down, we stopped and listened to some birds that were just on fire. And I just couldn't quite put my finger on exactly what was going on to why we're in one of the best places in South Florida and not even hearing a peep. Well, so on that day, the next day would have been March 18th is when the deal happened. Me and Gatlin talked about it that morning. We said, if nothing's happened this morning, I said, dude, we just need to pack up and go to another piece of property somewhere else because it's obviously not going to happen here. And I guess it was around probably 8:40, somewhere around that time frame. I called Gatlin and I said, he was on the other side of the oak hammock from me, trying to hear some birds on that side. And I said, have you done any good? He said, man, I'm sitting in the truck. I said, you sorry, dog. I said, I'll tell you what, give me about 15 minutes and let me see if I can hear anything. And if I don't, I said, I'll meet you at the truck. Well, as soon as I hang up the phone with him, I heard a bird directly in front of me, probably 200, 250, somewhere around there. He wasn't very, very far. So I said, I'm going to put some pressure on him, and I'm just going to call a lot harder than I normally would just to see if I can get a response out of him. So I yelped 3 times, pretty loud and pretty aggressive, and he cut me off. I said, man, myself, I'm talking to myself. I'm like, okay, we might have something going on here. So I waited probably 9 or 10 minutes, somewhere around there, and I hit him again loud just to see if I could get something else out of him because I hadn't heard him anymore or seen anything or nothing was going on. Well, I was going to do the same sequence. I was going to yelp 3 more times. Well, I yelped the first time, and I yelped the second. And right when I went to get the third one out of my mouth, man, that's when it all happened. I'm sitting on the tree facing, I guess you would say, 12 o'clock. Well, on my right shoulder is where it hit me at, and it come across my face, and it felt like it kind of almost felt like a tree had hit me at the time. I don't really the best way to kind of describe it. Well, the next thing I know, I see blood just running all over my face, and I'm trying to get myself off the ground and gather my thoughts on kind of what's going on. And that's when I look up and I see the cat. It is literally probably 50 yards from me, and he's turned back and he's looking at me. And it just walks back into the woods like, okay, my job is done here. And I said, oh my God, what in the world just happened? I said, this is unbelievable. So I grabbed my phone out to look at my face because my right eye, I could feel a bunch of blood in it. So I pulled my phone out and I looked and I noticed that I still had an eye, thank God. And, so I immediately called Gatlin and I say, hey man, where you at? And he said, I'm on the way. And I said, well, you said 15 minutes. And he said, well, it's only been like 12, Jason. I said, well, you ain't going to believe what just happened. So I gathered my stuff up and I started walking back to the truck, and I'm probably 100, 150 yards tops from where the attack occurred, and I see a truck pulling up, and I said, man, that's not Gatlin's truck. I don't know what to it. And I realized it was a game warden, and he jumps out of the truck and he comes walking up to me and he says, what happened to you? And I said, a panther jumped on me. He said, no, what really happened? I said, man, look at my face. I don't know what else to tell you. And he just kind of went ghost white. And when I ran into him, it was at 9:05. So it was roughly 14 minutes after the attack occurred, and it was less than 150 yards away. Well, then Gatlin and the other guy, he come pulling up, and they're like, what? They didn't have a clue what was going on either at the time. My shirt was covered in blood, my face was cut up, And so I'm trying to explain everything to them, trying to explain to the game warden what was going on. He got out a first aid kit and he started, trying to help clean myself up, and man, it was pretty unreal.
Goodness.
Wow. Yeah, boy, I tell you what. So I do have to. We'll get into all this, but I do have to ask. So you left the turkey?
Yeah, I mean that's what I was going to grab.
I left. Man, I did. And the part that I forgot to add. So the day before, which would have been March 17th, it was probably, man, I don't know, probably 3:30 or somewhere around there. Gatlin and I were walking, and we kept hearing this noise that it was kind of like, man, I can't really describe it. I've only heard it once in my life, and I heard it in, we were down in the Everglades turkey hunting. Gatlin and I, that was the year before. We drove way back in there, and we go get out of the truck, and it's just pitch black dark. We don't have a clue where we're at, and trying to look at a map, and we lose service, and we go to get out of the truck, and you could hear buzzards flying around all up in the trees, and we kept hearing that noise, and I said, I don't know what kind of witchcraft stuff's going on down here. I said, but we ain't getting out of the truck yet. Let's let it get a little light before we start this 7-mile walk back into where we were going. And that was the only other time that I've ever heard that noise. So I don't know if it was like a mom calling to her babies or vice versa or what it was. Being in Alaska and hunting up there, I've heard foxes forever. Up there, they just run around and screech around your tent all night long. And it's kind of similar to that noise, but on a completely different level of it, if that makes any sense.
Mm. Yeah.
So I don't know if that's what we were hearing the day before. I have no idea. I'd love to know, but I don't. I'm assuming, the stuff that I gather, that's probably what it was a mom and a baby. And when I was in there hunting, I just kind of got too close to that comfort zone. I don't really know.
And that was near the same place?
Yeah, it was literally probably 75 yards from where we heard that the day before.
So, Jason, you were telling me last time we talked that when you were telling me the story, one of the things that struck me that I hadn't thought about was that guiding in Alaska, you had experience with like bear attacks and some other stuff, and you knew you needed to get some help pretty quick because is there certain bacteria that may have gotten in those cuts? Is that what you were telling me?
Yeah, cats they're real bad to bacteria. So I didn't know, and especially walking down, the swamps in South Florida, you don't know what's down there, whether the bacteria that the alligators carry or whatever it might be, because their nails are always, the cat's nails are always in the mud, and they're walking in the bottoms and everything. So you don't ever really know what it might have. Well, the game warden wanted me to walk them back down in there to show them the exact location in the tree and kind of walk them through everything. At this time, I've got my wife. She's freaking out. She don't have a clue what's going on. I'm telling her. I said, "Hey, I'll call you back. So I actually FaceTimed her to show her my face when it happened, and she didn't know anything, at the time. And that's when I told the game warden. I said, "Man, I'd be more than glad to go back down there with you." I said, "But first things first. I said, I need to get to the hospital and get this cleaned and get everything taken care of and see what we need to do as far as the bacteria side of it." They actually went to Lake Placid, and that's where they stitched everything up and get everything cleaned up on me.
Wow. Did you have any vision issues after that? I mean, it didn't hurt your eye, did it?
No, not at all. So the blood that was in my eye, I guess you could say, is probably maybe a quarter of an inch below my eyebrow. And I don't, so tender up there, whenever you get the slightest cut, it just bleeds. Well, that blood was running down there in it, but as far as actually touching my eye, it never touched it or actually my eyelid. So one come right below it. Well, the main blunt of it was across my cheek, below my eye. and then actually caught my nose, and it was a really bad gash right in the center of it. And then it went all the way across my nose and 3/4 of the way across my mouth on my top lip. And that was another spot to where it was the deepest. I mean, it was almost completely all the way through it.
Wow.
No fun. Good grief.
And it was, and the whole time, you know, I was still just mind blown of
yeah, I'm sure
what
you're in
had happened.
shock. Yeah. Yeah. We've got a buddy that got attacked by a bobcat, and he said, he was in shock, just couldn't figure out what's going on for the longest time when he was turkey hunting. Hey, couple quick questions. Did the cut on your eye, you think it impaired your vision? I mean, obviously there was blood in your eye, but and I hate to ask you these questions. You said you saw the cat after the attack running away?
Yeah, no, as far as my vision, it didn't affect it any. It was, when your eyes water and, you can, it gets kind of blurry on you or whatever. But when the blood was running across my eye, man, it never made anything blurry. It just felt like, kind of like my eye was watering, but without the vision part being,
right,
disordered or blocked or whatever. I mean, it was completely fine. But it was not, there was absolutely no question at all, about what, well, are you sure what you've seen?
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Really?
One of the questions that the game wardens asked me, they said, well, is it a male or a female? I said, man, I'm good, but I ain't that good. I can't tell you that part, But I wasn't looking up at it whenever it come across me.
It was a 3.5-year-old female.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tried to scrape my eye. But you saw the long tail on it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
And you had, somebody said you had game camera images of the cat prior to that, maybe?
Yeah, we were getting pictures of him probably, man, it's not every day. It was every other day or every third day. We got multiple pictures of him.
Wow. You think, sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I just got back from New Mexico, and there was a cat incident out there where a hunter happened to come up in between a cat and its cubs, and they had to defend themselves. So I was wondering if you really thought that maybe do you think the cat thought you were a turkey, which I'm sure you can yell. We ain't down that now. Or do you think it was, I guess, out of predation, or you think it was maybe out of protection?
No, I think so. I seen that video that was going around on social media, last week or whenever it was, when that guy was walking, and that mom cat was, she was kind of pouncing him and just swatting. She wasn't trying to eat him or trying to,
no, she was not attacking in my opinion.
She just wanted him to get out of that area. Mm-hmm. So the best thing that I can describe, I don't think that, I'm some turkey calling god, and I called in a cat in South Florida that thought I was a turkey, and it was, man, I'm fixing to get a meal out of this deal. Oh man, that's not what I thought it was. I don't think that was any of it at all, because they're so smart. It's unbelievable. I think it was there was several hogs in the area that I was actually watching that morning, and looking back at it now, whenever they disappeared, I didn't think anything about it. I'm sitting there just as still as I possibly can, just watching the hogs. When they took off running, I said, well, maybe they winded me or whatever. I don't know if she was in there trying to catch one of them, or, and then heard the noise. But my mind and my heart tells me that, I've been in there for a couple of days now, and I think it was more or less enough's enough. Because it wasn't trying to just maul me like people hear a panther attack or whatever they want to call them down there. It wasn't it was nothing like that. It was literally the way that it kind of missed my face. It was more or less just a real quick blow, like, hey, enough's enough.
That's enough.
And I think she was just trying to, just kind of like a warning shot of, hey, get out of here. Believe it or not, I did.
It sounds like it works. Yeah, it does make a lot of sense.
So, wow. Jason, after you and I talked the first time, and when we talked, you mentioned something about some social media backlash that you had gotten. It kind of, after we finished talking, I just got to think about it. I could tell talking to you that you're a legitimate, serious turkey hunter. And being a legitimate, serious turkey hunter, you just, by nature, you love all things wild. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you're as fascinated by the cats as we are. I know, I'm speaking for all of us here at the table. I know we talk about it all the time.
Yeah, we like them too.
Yeah,
we're not really.
We want to protect them. Absolutely, they're one of the coolest things going. And the state of Florida has done a fantastic job of trying to do that. But so some people thought you were trying to start inadvertently trying to give reason to start a hunting season, and that could not be further from the truth. Am I speaking correctly?
Absolutely. The way that, hunting is not only my number one passion in the world, rather with my family, but it's my livelihood and it's my job at the same time. I've had some very cool encounters, some crazy encounters, and bad and good. I couldn't imagine why somebody in my position would try to start a scam type deal on something along the lines of that, and say, I'm fixing to jump on social media and I'm going to stir up the hunting world and say, hey guys, I got attacked by a panther. To this day, I have never posted a single thing about it. Never said, hey, look at me. This is what happened. All the things, it got twisted up so bad. Cause whenever somebody first shared it, a good friend of mine, whenever he shared it, it just went completely viral. I don't remember how many thousands of people that it reached, but you can only imagine the hearsay and so-and-so telling somebody this, how bad it got twisted up. I mean, I had people calling me, wanting to know what ICU room I was in and, was I going to make it? I'm like, what are you people talking about? Like, well, man, we heard that you were dying. I said, no, not at all. I don't even know what you're talking about. And it got so big, so quick that I knew if I tried to fight and say, no, guys, this is what happened. No, this is what happened. No, I don't care what so-and-so said. This is the truth. I couldn't have done it all. If I would even try or even could have put a dent in it. So I said, you know what? People's going to talk. They can do what they want to. I know the truth and I know what happened and I'm okay with that. There were people that would call me and say, can you believe what so-and-so said about you on social media? And I said, man, I don't care. It doesn't bother me because deep down I know the truth, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
Yeah, it does. Well, I wanted to make sure you had a chance to kind of, I'm not saying your name got tarnished, but there were some people that misunderstood hear
his side of the story. Everybody, there's your side, their side, and the truth. You got to hear all sides of the story.
Yeah, and we know how brutal social media can
goodness.
be. People just say things that they wouldn't say if they were in person, and I'm sure a lot of that kind of stuff was said.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. It's not. It hasn't affected my business at all. It hasn't affected me or friendships or anything along those lines. I could have got mad and tried to protect everything. I said, it's not even worth it. It doesn't matter. Now, if I'd have been laying there and because the number one question was, did you get a shot at it? I said, no. I really wasn't even thinking about it. But never could I have shot it. I don't know. I wouldn't have tried to, because really I was like, man, this is one of the coolest thing ever happened to me.
Right.
Really, as crazy as that sounds, I never would have blown it out of proportion, and that was never even the plan to try to do so.
Well, it's a great story.
Absolutely.
It
really is. I mean, fantastic story.
Are you going to go back in there turkey hunting?
So, I mean, literally, I would go back I would have went back the very next day if my wife wasn't just hounding me. Hey, you got to get home right now.
Yeah.
Because or she started reading about the bacteria and all that. Well, I had to go get rabies shots. I've always heard in the past, well, they got to do the shots close to the wound, which would have been in my nose, and I've had nose surgeries from a bad folder years ago, and don't even like my nose to be touched. So I drive all the way back home, and I get there, and we go to the hospital, and so many hours after the attack, you got to have the first round of shots. X amount of hours. I don't remember exactly what it was, and so we go and do all that. I think the first round was like 7 or 8 shots, and I was laying there on the couch for about a day or two, and I was just going just stir crazy. I said, man, I can't. It's church season. I can't be sitting on the couch right now. And behold, one of my friends called and said, hey, you want to come down to South Georgia and go, the birds are on fire. I said, yeah, I'll be right there. So man, I jumped in the truck and picked up Gatlin in Georgia, and on March 25th, we were in South Georgia turkey hunting, and from there we left and went to Bighorn, Wyoming. We was up there on April 30th, and left there and went to South Texas on the 6th. But what I didn't realize, once you start the rabies shots, you have to stay in that location and get them. So, and it's once a week, and I want to say it for like 3 or 4 weeks. So when the doctor called and said, hey, you missed your appointment to get your second round of shots, can we reschedule it? And I said, yeah, I'm closest town I'm near now is Valdosta. We can just set it up down here. And she said, well, it doesn't work that way. And I said, well, what do you mean? She said, well, you have to get your second round here. You can't do it down there. We need you to come back home. And that's when my wife, she wasn't very happy about that. I said, well, look, I'm not leaving from down here. Just
these
run
turkeys
all the way
are
back to
gobbling. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I mean, to get a shot. I said, at the end of the day, right or wrong, I said, if I die from rabies, well, guess what? I'm going to die doing what I love the most in the world.
There you go. So no foaming at the mouth lately? You're good, you think?
No, not lately. And I've been doing pretty good. I've had a couple of times when I got kind of cranky, I said, I wonder if this is going to be the rabies coming out of me.
Yeah.
But I guess I can always use that for an excuse if I needed to.
There you go.
Well, it's a good story, and we appreciate you sharing it with us.
Yeah, it's good to hear.
Maybe one day we can go to Kansas and experience
and them 20 gobblers gobbling.
Yeah.
Sound like it's one for me and you.
We can do the
Dudley.
podcast up there.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah, man, come on. Love to have you.
Dadgum turkey hunters.
Oh, man. Well, Jason, thank you so much. Dudley, do you have any more questions for him?
No, I think it's a good story. And, you sound like a credible guy. You wear the same colors we do. We've got a lot of mutual friends.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have a reason to not believe you.
I don't either.
You've been all over the place hunting, and you've grown up doing it. We were talking earlier about how it's easy to identify animals. Even if you don't,
if you grew up in the woods,
right? Yeah. Based on their movements and all that kind of thing. So I believe you.
And it's like I said, man. Going back and looking at it now, am I mad at the cat population or anything like that? Absolutely not. I don't consider myself one of the greatest hunters in the world, but I do idolize, everything that is. And my opinion, the cat is at the top of the food chain. If you just sit there and watch a house cat, how stealthy they are and smart, and when they know, okay, it's a now or never type deal, that's one of the most incredible things to me is to actually watch one. So to think that I would ever want to start a Panther season in Florida is the farthest thing from the truth.
I agree. Hey, one more quick question. Color. We're talking a lot about color. I've had we were talking earlier about my long-tailed cat sighting in Alabama.
He saw a black panther.
Oh, whatever. Trying to clear my name. But what I think I saw was definitely not a Florida panther. I don't think it wasn't the color of a cougar. So I didn't know. Did yours look mountain lionish or can you describe what it looked like?
Yep, the one that I had the encounter with, and even several of my friends down there who, man, they see them pretty regular. I don't know if they've ever actually seen a black Florida Panther. And if I got into giving my theories and everything on that, I'd get my numbers and everything mixed up. But no, mine was a sandy-ish, darkish color, I guess would be the best way to put it. I couldn't tell you how much the thing weighs. I ain't never held one before. So I would my facts on all of that would be completely. It wouldn't be very very well. But no, it was definitely not black, and I don't know of anybody who's actually ever seen a black Florida Panther down there.
Only me. Yeah, I'm the only one. Again, it wasn't. I don't think it was a black panther. Well, I believe it was.
If it's dark, I can see where they.
Oh no, it was broad daylight when I saw what I saw, and I'm like you. I know what I saw, but I don't. I know I've always been discredited. They love to throw the Lanny saw a black panther to discredit it, but I don't believe what I saw was black panther. We were talking about it earlier. I think it was a Jaggerundi from, the Central America or something like that. So, anyhow.
Hey, man, I believe you 100%.
Thank you.
Yeah, good. Well, Jason, we really appreciate you being on, and we're going to send you some little Gamekeeper gifts.
Get him a new hat.
To you. Yeah, one of the Levy slings. So anybody that's a guest from now on, we're going to send them a little
care package.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. So, Jason, thank you.
Man, that's cool.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, we appreciate you being on. Yeah.
Glad you're okay.
Yeah, look forward to turkey hunting with you one day, maybe.
Hey, absolutely, guys. And it was a pleasure talking to y'all. And, anything else you ever need, just let me know.
Okay, we'll
Thanks,
do it.
Jason.
We will do that when turkey season comes.
Yeah. I'm kind of hard to run down. I usually put my phone on airplane mode and shut the dang thing off that time of the year. But I ain't too hard to get in touch with.
All right, man. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Jason.
Yeah.
Yep, have a good one.
Oh, we'll find him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Off. So yeah. So that's a great story. Now
I'm kind of, I would be proud of that story. But
Yeah, it would be it would be a cool encounter.
It would be.
So Dudley kind of brought it a little bit to the surface, but there is the state of Florida, and we'll say they are doing a fantastic job with what they do in managing the Florida Panther.
Yeah,
and our hats off to them. They've got so much in at one time those cats got down to there was less than 30 of them. And now I think they say that there's about 200 of them. But they did some DNA tests, and they seem to think that what happened to Jason may have been a bobcat. But I did talk to several people at Florida, and they were really quick to say, "Look, we don't know what he saw. Who's to say in the heat of that moment, what somebody sees or thinks they see or whatever." But they tried to do some DNA analysis, and I think they were kind of pointing toward it being a bobcat. But I don't know. Jason's got a great story.
He does,
he seems like somebody that would know if it was a long-tailed cat or not.
Yeah, and I think the fact that he saw it, that's why I wanted to ask the question, when he saw it after the attack, I mean, because obviously we know there's bobcats everywhere. We've had friends that have a very similar experience in these woods being attacked by a bobcat sitting on a tree yelping. Our own Kerry Sizemore. He's got his turkey vest and everything that was tore up. So, but that was what I really, and I believe him, that what he thinks he saw was a long-tailed cat.
I think most people that have turkey hunted, I know I have, have called in a bobcat. Obviously, I hadn't jumped on them, but look up and there's one kind of checking you out.
We've heard that story a lot.
Yeah,
coyotes are even more common.
Coyotes, very common.
Yeah.
We run those all the time. So, I bet I kind of wanted to ask him about that sixth sense. Would a big cat being less than from me to you from there and be able to reach around a tree and pop him?
You think he would have heard a leaf?
Something.
Ruffle.
Yeah.
Cats, you don't.
Now they're slick now.
Yeah. And those Florida woods are water oaks and little bitty leaves, and they're not
swampy.
as crunchy, and it's wet, humid.
It's wet.
Mm-hmm. Years ago.
That's why we're going to go together and you sit opposite ways down there.
Well, years ago, I don't know, it's probably been 15 years ago now, but I was with Al Cheatham from Alabama Farmers Co-op, and we were down there turkey hunting. And it was right at daylight, and he started kind of whispering real loud and real fast. And I thought there was a turkey gobbling, and we heard some wings. I knew the turkey had pitched down, and I thought he was excitedly telling me the turkey was on his side of the tree. And I can remember saying, well, just, hang on, everything's going to be just, but he just kept on, but I couldn't understand what he was saying. But there was a long-tailed cat chasing a hen out in front of him, and he was trying to get me to turn around and look at it. And I was scared to death to move with the turkey. So, and since then, I have kicked myself mentally in the tail so many times.
You might be in the club. You would have been in the club, Bobby. Golly.
Yeah. His wasn't black, though.
Yeah. Mine was dark. It was, anyway.
But I did get to see a print. So after all that, we went and looked, and I actually took a picture, and it was on my BlackBerry for years.
The old berry.
And I lost it. I don't know what happened to it.
So now we don't know if that's true or not.
So Al but y'all were in Florida.
Well, we were in.
Was that the first time? Is that when you volunteered to hunt the burn?
No, that was later. That was later.
Taking one for the team. Well, look, I got just not for the cat thing, but I got a little distribution map of the color faces of the.
Now that's South America.
Yeah, I know that's South America.
Okay.
I did take geography, a little bit of it, but
you went to public
you can say
school.
this is basically saying the habitat, whether it could sustain these cats or not.
Whether it could sustain.
So say sustainability, the red would be these 100% could sustain, has a chance of sustaining these kind of cats. And you see it peels on up and through Texas, Louisiana. Might be a little bit of interbreeding between the old Jaggerundi and the Florida Panther. You can never tell. So, but
that is an interesting map because that's basically saying South Alabama, Louisiana, the Panhandle of Florida the environment could sustain these cats.
Yeah,
and then South Florida, it's red hot.
I mean, you think about all the nutrient stuff running around in them swamps in Louisiana.
Oh, that's a Jaggerundi.
Yeah, okay. Jaggerundi. Yeah, sorry. Anybody want any elk sausage?
Yeah, I would like some. When we take a break here in a minute, I'm gonna get some.
And did you see that? The video? That video came out the same day that the attack happened in New Mexico. But I agree with him. That cat was not attacking. Mm-hmm. If that cat was going to attack you, it would have bit you in the back of the head and been dragging you off. You know what I mean?
That was some intense video.
Yeah. And the guys in New Mexico said the first mistake he made was backing up. Never back up. Stay on your ground. Best thing he could have done was pick up a rock and whopped it in the head.
Is that right?
Yeah. That's what their advice was. 100%.
Well,
and they do that kind of stuff.
It
all
makes
the time.
perfect sense. You with your house cat, you drag a string around, they're going to chase it, so.
Man, that elk summer sausage is good.
Mm. Well, so the Jaguarundi map is interesting. So that keeps your story alive. Yeah. Keeps you alive. So, well, look, why don't we, does anybody else have it while we're here before we move on to other segments? Do we have anything else to add? Do you have any sightings that you want to report? Anything at all, Dudley?
No, I was talking earlier about, Rob Moore. I've got a close friend named Brad Lieb that, I've mentioned him in the last segment where he found a print in the late 90s, took a photo, game warden verified it. And it's interesting to me that it happened, in the same river bottom, more or less, as where Rob's story happened.
And then you say he also said that there was confirmed sightings of Jaggerundis in the Mobile Bay?
In the Mobile Basin, yes.
In the Mobile Basin.
I feel like this is deja vu. Haven't we already talked about this?
I think we touched upon this a little bit.
It's all very interesting stuff.
Yeah, it is. Well, why don't we pay some bills, Jason, run a commercial, and when we get back, let's do the Ask Dudley segment.
Yeah, now don't we have some recordings of a fox versus a...
Oh, yeah. Well, let's do that. So, Dudley, why don't you key these up?
You want to do it now?
Yeah, might as well.
All right, so the first noise is supposed to be a red fox that I pulled off of YouTube. And it was in somebody's backyard, and they filmed it. I actually recorded one in my backyard, but I couldn't find it. So
this is what we believe most of even me.
A lot of people hear this noise and assume it's a painter cat.
Yeah, and we've heard last year here in town, there was apparently one running through the neighborhoods, and everybody was talking about there's a panther yelling behind the house.
Now, what is this fox doing when she's making this noise?
Is just running around in a backyard.
Is she excited?
Is it a mating call? Or is it?
She
it
calling her
sounds
kids?
funny, but it was messing around with somebody's dog. They were kind of playing.
Ah,
It had apparently gotten a little cityfied. But like
Yeah.
I said, I've got a wild one in my neighborhood. Exact same noise.
it ate your chickens, didn't it?
Yes.
Oh, bad fox.
Let's hear it.
I mean, I could see where that could be, you know.
Lenny, that have you running for your truck.
All right, boy. You better not do it behind me.
All right.
So that's a red fox?
That is a red fox. And when you're typing this into your computer, you're also hearing, seeing comments like mountain lion versus red fox. So obviously,
Yeah, there's a direct comparison.
yeah.
And so we got a mountain lion next screaming. Ooh. Bobby, you'd be running from that one. That sounds more cattish.
That gave me goosebumps.
And that is a mountain lion screaming.
Yes, mountain lion, panther, cougar, whatever you want to call it, felis concolor.
What is she doing when she's making that sound? Or he? What's going on there?
I honestly have no idea.
Is that a kitten calling to kittens or something? Perhaps?
Possibly.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a cat meowing. It's a big cat.
A real big cat.
You think they purr?
Oh, I guarantee you they purr.
Yeah.
Jason, we should be playing the Pink Panther music behind all this. All right, well, Dudley, I appreciate you bringing those sounds to the program
To
for
the
us.
studio. You got any of this elk sausage, Jessica?
All right, well, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll do the Ask Dudley questions.
When I first bought this farm a short time ago, every single field was grown up with brush 8 and 10 feet high. But it went from that to this. And even though I planted biologic with very little moisture in the ground, I was really amazed at the results. I just sat in this field with my wife as she shot her very first deer. We could not be happier. We made a memory that will last a lifetime. All because of the effectiveness of the best food plot seed on the market. Biologic is better seed, pure and simple. Log on to plantbiologic.com to learn more.
Hey folks, it's Jeff Foxworthy. When I was a kid, my dad bought back the farm that he had grown up on, and I absolutely loved that place. I knew every square inch of it. It truly was my favorite place on earth. And when you're looking to find a favorite place for you and your family, Mossy Oak Properties can help. Visit mossyoakproperties.com to begin your search today.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We got a few little
To the
segments here
sweltering GameKeeper studio.
Yeah, it is.
We've been pumping some hot air in here today.
We need to get some air, at least a fan, a box fan. We need to call Yacht and get him to get us a box fan.
He bring us a box fan.
He killed an alligator this past week.
I saw he's in Florida running around down there.
He's the only person I know that put it on his shoulders and. Anyway, that youngin.
I am Yacht.
Yeah, he needs a little something. So, Dudley, did you have something? You were just looked like you've been wanting to say something.
Yeah, I was. Back to the cat stuff. I know we keep going back to that. We'll get to my questions in a second, but biologists are trained not only to manage wildlife, they're trained to manage the public.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
And so,
in an effort for wildlife conservation, you know what I mean? That's why they're doing it too. So
I don't know if I want to go any farther than that, but
Jason says it was a cougar. The game warden say it was a bobcat. We'll just leave it at that.
We don't. You don't want to stir the pot. I mean, it's a touchy subject.
Yeah.
It's a wild animal that's endangered. So,
well, let's leave it like this. The Florida Fish and Wildlife has done a fantastic job in the Florida Panther recovery. They're doing a fantastic. They have done. They are doing, and they are going to do it.
Oh yeah.
So that can't be questioned.
No, not one bit. They've done a fantabulous job.
Yeah, and as the hunting public, we need to be supportive of them in their efforts. And but like you said. I don't know. Jason's story sounds so believable to me, but I actually talked to a guy from Florida, and he said boy, so many of these, it's like 9 out of 10 attacks or 9 out of 10 sightings even ends up being just big bobcats. So
I'm pro cougar, by the way. So
I'm pro cougar too.
Okay. All right. Well, I believe Jason. I really do. Yeah. So I'm excited that those Panthers are down there.
I think next time you're out there looking for Bigfoot, you might run into one, Bobby.
Oh, Lord. All right. So let's get started with Dudley's. We've got to do the intro for Dudley. We've got this fancy intro we built, so let's do that.
Once in a generation, a mind comes along, a mind that understands more than the average person and is more than willing to share his knowledge. From trees to food plots to fertilizer, Dudley Phelps knows so much that he has forgotten more than he remembers. And now he gives you the chance to ask the burning questions in your mind. It's time for Ask Dudley.
Dudley, both of my questions are related to trees. When using the hack and squirt method, what chemical do you recommend and what time of year is best? And fertilization of trees, same general question. What fertilizer do you recommend and what time of year would you recommend fertilizing? Thanks for the help.
That guy didn't say his name, but I recognize his voice because he's one of my buddies.
Your buddies. That's good. It's good to have buddies.
As many people who have listened to this podcast, my feelings are a little hurt. There hadn't been a whole lot of questions yet. So
I think our kind of method for collecting is kind of disjointed. We're rebuilding the Gamekeeper site, and we're going to make it a lot easier.
I've got a lot of buddies that are really interested in this stuff, so I get a lot of good questions. And that's my buddy Fancher Smith from Panola County, Mississippi.
Panola.
Yeah, and he's got a farm around there, and he's doing all kinds of cool things to it. But, that was a good question, Fanch. As far as hack and squirt, and I know his place. So he's got a lot of pines, and he's trying to get rid of hardwoods in the pines. And so the answer to that for hack and squirt, in my opinion, by far the best chemical to use is called imazapyr. The trade name is Arsenal, and you can buy it in a 20 or a 40% solution or concentration, And I don't want to confuse people too much with that. The best thing to do is go and buy some imazapyr. You can either get the 20 or 40%. Just follow the label. It's usually going to say anywhere between 5 and 20% needs to be imazapyr, and the rest needs to be water. And if you use that, basically, when the sap is not flowing heavily in the trees, so more or less summer through winter. If I had to pick favorite months to do it, I would probably say June through January. And that's what you use. You make a hack with a hatchet about every 3 or 4 inches around the tree. So, if it's a 3-inch tree, you make one hack and then you squirt 1 squirt of that solution, and then you go to the next tree. 90% of the time, that tree will be dead the next year. There's all other kinds of chemicals you can use and whatnot, but that's the best for the widest range of species.
And follow the label.
Follow the label.
I can speak from experience. Follow the label.
Exactly, to a T. The bottle you buy, follow the label. And he also talked about fertilizing the trees of ours that he's been planting. He comes every Thanksgiving and buys some trees from us and takes them to his family.
Oh, that's awesome.
Y'all have probably seen him here.
Yeah.
But, that's a good question because we ran out of our favorite fertilizer and we're going to get that reformulated. But in the meantime, my favorite thing to use is Osmocote. It's a slow-release chemical fertilizer. When you use the slow-release types, it's not as bad for your soil. The life in your soil, I think, is really important right in that root zone. So if you're going to use chemical fertilizers, use a slow-release or a coated fertilizer like Osmocote. I use a heaping tablespoon per seedling, put it about 3 inches away from the root ball and about 2 inches deep, and just stomp it shut with your foot and go to the next tree. He said, what time of year? anytime you have time to do it. But I like the best is like late winter or early spring.
You can really tell the difference when you do it too.
Yes.
I mean, the leaves are greener, everything. It's just amazing how well it works.
Yep. And that slow release is good because you're not getting too much nitrogen at one time. And it works on all kinds of plants. So give it a shot, Fancher. Thanks for the question.
Is there another question?
That's it.
Okay.
It was a two
double up.
question.
It was a double up.
Yeah. And his name is Fancher?
Yeah.
From Panola County.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard a quail.
Uh-oh. Yeah, let me hit end on that.
Bobby, you can't stay out of that elk sausage over there.
It's delicious.
Good.
Whose is that?
That's actually from Caledonia, from Fork in the Road. I mean, Jack.
Is that yours?
Yeah, that's from last year.
Oh,
good.
So you killed an elk last year and this year. That's right. I forgot.
Yeah. Do I need to remind you of that?
No. And you probably already made plans for next year, I would guess.
I don't think I'm going to get that lucky again. But if I get drawn, I'm planning on going. I'd be lying. Every day since then, I've woke up thinking about, if I was out there, I'd probably go right up here and look in here and all those other
I'm gonna put in.
Yeah.
And whether I get it or not, I'm still gonna go out west and go backpacking.
There you go.
I love it. It's my favorite thing in the world.
Have you spent much time in New Mexico?
I've spent 23 straight days in the Gila before without coming out.
There you go.
But it wasn't elk hunting.
Yeah.
It was just having fun.
Yeah. Speaking of having fun, is McElwain ever going to come back?
I don't know. There's so many things that aren't happening since he's on vacation out in the snow in Wyoming mule deer hunting. It must be nice to be 24, 25 years old, not a care in the world.
I've forgotten what it's like.
Yeah, I did too.
Soccer practice. Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, what are we going to learn today?
So
Did you know?
Yeah, I've got, if you would, Jason, if you would hit this little thing, there's a little bird called the Whippoorwill.
Aha.
That's got he's really.
Well, I can hear him. Can y'all hear him?
And that's what they do. It might be just a little loud. But once they start whistling, they can go for a long time.
And they will keep you up at night if you're camping.
But so what's so fascinating, you rarely ever see one. I mean, if you're a turkey hunter, you've probably seen them as you're driving in to go hunting, that they might get up out of the middle of the road.
Like a snipe.
And fly. You would think that's what you've just seen, but that's probably a whippoorwill. But if you just never walk around in the woods and see one, they look like they're dipped in bottomland.
Oh.
They're super camo. I'll show you that photo. We'll put it up.
Look at that dude.
Yeah. And here's the most interesting thing. They sit sideways on a branch. So where most birds sit with the branch.
They sit with the branch laying long ways under
them. That's right. That's how they do. And they nest on the ground. And these birds around here, and at dusk and at daylight, they feed on insects. Except during a full moon, they'll feed all night long. But their bodies they time it where the female, she will lay her eggs about 2 weeks before a full moon. So when those eggs hatch, she and her mate can feed all night long on insects to bring back to those baby birds.
Huh.
Nature is so amazing.
Yeah, look, it really is.
And the way they adapt to things like the moon phases.
Right. Yeah, we're going to talk more about moon phases.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier today. That'd be a cool subject.
Very cool subject.
While we're at it, there's another species in the same genus as whippoorwill that people often confuse. It's called the Chuck Will's widow.
Huh.
They almost look identical.
But it's a different species.
Yeah. Listeners, just read up on that a little bit.
A little dud fact.
Some of the they say that like early American lore that probably may have come from actually the Native American lore was that if you heard of whippoorwill, it was kind of impending something bad was about to happen. And there's a lot of country music songs that talk about whippoorwill, lonesome whippoorwill, Hank Williams. And
well, I'll tell you what, it reminds me of the dummy line.
It does. And I was trying to remember, it seems like we hear whippoorwills mostly toward the end
of the season. I was thinking we're starting to hear whippoorwills, it would be late season.
But then when we go to Missouri during that 2-week Missouri season, there's whippoorwills are going crazy up there. I love to hear them though. But I read online that one guy sat and counted 1,088 calls, consecutive calls.
Man, that thing had a sore throat when it was done, didn't it?
Oh, and that's a mating call that they're doing.
It's pleasant, but it gets old quick, in my opinion.
Especially if you're sleeping.
Yeah.
Or trying to sleep.
Trying to sleep. That's right.
Yeah. So that's my did you know little factoid today.
Thanks, Bob.
The mighty whippoorwill sits sideways on the branch. But I guess it'd be with the branch. Depends on which ways.
Yeah. Well, he sits
with it.
Yes. And I don't know of another bird that sits like that.
I mean, he's definitely more camo because he does it that way.
He is super camo.
It could almost look like a hummingbird nest sitting on that branch.
Yeah. Go Google whippoorwill and look at the image, guys. It's pretty impressive.
I'll do that.
Okay. What else have we got? Dudley, have you got anything?
You know, I can't think of anything else.
Hand
me that elk summer sausage.
Get that elk summer sausage.
Jason, you got anything?
And I hope everybody will keep on sending in cat stories, you know?
Yeah, we'll have to revisit these at some point. Yeah. So, Lanny, do you have anything else?
I have nothing else. There it is.
You're going to sing us on out of here. So. Well, we appreciate everybody listening. Next week, we'll have another podcast. So,
yeah, look forward to it. Everybody have a good week.
Let's get your patented exit phrase.
Get us out of here, Cleve.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Gamekeeper Podcast. And be sure to tune in again. Subscribe to Gamekeeper Farming for Wildlife magazine. And don't miss the Mossy Oak Properties Fistful of Dirt podcast with my good buddy, Ronnie Cuz Strickland.